J-E-T-S,
Good job today, man. One at a time, and we'll get the job done. Y'all know what to say. On three. 1, 2, 3.
and the home of the Jets.
Good evening, everybody. Let's talk Jets with Jets Central after a preseason victory, a Jets-Giants practice. We used to worry about generating content, man. Now we have so much to talk about. I think we're probably going to argue at some point tonight. Bro, how you been, man?
Good, man. Good. I mean, how could you be anything other than good when it comes to this team, bro? Preseason against the Green Bay Packers looked great. Lots of positivity coming out of today. I'm sure we'll dive into it. How about you? How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Like, Saturday we were so excited for the game because you have this physical, training camp with all this speculation, but it doesn't translate to the game. Like, how do they come out? Do they come out prepared? Do they come out physical? Do they come out fast? Do they look lost? So many questions, and obviously they're not all answered in a preseason game, but your first impression, like, I genuinely enjoyed watching this team play football. I'm like, wow, like, they look like they know what they're doing. Wow, they're communicating. Wow, they're fighting. Wow, they're physical. Wow, they're fully invested. And then you have the whole Aaron Glenn perspective of this, where that intensity, that accountability, that discipline, all the things we were begging for, we saw a glimpse of that on Saturday night, bro, and I loved every second of it. Again, it's not perfect. They're not, I'm not going to say playoffs, whatever else, but like it's encouraging to see where they were. We thought they were in the preseason, coming into the training camp, and where they are now. It was a pretty cool performance, man.
Dude, 100. I couldn't have said it any better myself. Look, it's a preseason game. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. We've seen teams go 3-0, look dominant, and then once the regular season hits, it all falls apart, and they're absolutely horrible. I think actually the one win Miami Dolphins team was like that years and years and years ago. But I will say, dude, offense, defense, special teams, we looked fast, we looked tough, physical, violent, outplayed Green Bay literally in every facet. I loved how not only were we just playing against the ones, but we were also in Lambeau Field. So, for I would say maybe showcase game for all these different guys, Tanner Ingstrand, Aaron Glenn, not going to include Steve Wilkes because he's done it before, but Justin Fields at the quarterback position right now. I mean, and also all these undrafted guys, some of the rookies, Armand Membu. What a freaking showcase game to just say, hey, you know what? This is who we are. This is what the word has been all training camp. We've just went out and proved it against the starting Green Bay Packers in their house. Just whooped them around the field. Really the bottom line. So I absolutely loving it.
The word I kept saying was they look prepared. That's it. Like,
yeah.
They look like they knew they belonged. They understood it. They weren't overwhelmed by the moment. So you look at, like, even just saying with Justin Fields, right? Like, I'm glad they played a series. I was excited about that because you want to see him get in, get out of the huddle, communicate with Engstrand, communicate with those offensive linemen, try to get some of the receivers. Justin, he looked comfortable, dude. It's like, again, vanilla offense. We understand all the parameters of a preseason game, but for our first impression of Justin Fields was good reads, smooth. That touchdown run was exactly what we hoped for. Like, he looks fast, he looks explosive. So from him, that's a very good building block. Then you have today's practice where you go against, very good defensive line. It's a learning process. But early on, it's like, everybody wants to pounce on this kid and find all the negatives. And right now, I'm finding a lot of positives with Justin Fields.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. And well, when you were talking about Fields and kind of just how smooth the operation looked Saturday night, I think a lot of that credit needs to go to the offensive line, dude. Because like Membu, Olu looked absolutely phenomenal, man. Just kicking outside, being able to block. I mean, you look at some of the defensive linemen that we went up against.
Yeah.
Lucas Van Ness, former first-round pick, who's actually been one of the standout players in Packers camp so far. We had Kenny Clark going up against Armand Membu. Membu was doing his thing, didn't allow a single pressure or anything like that. Awesome. Great news there. I mean, it was, I don't know if like how the broadcasts were all set up, like where you're at compared to down here. But I know for me, I was watching on the Packers, like with the
Yeah.
Packers home announcers, and they interviewed Matt LaFleur coming out of the halftime break, and he was like stunned, like like he literally had no idea what was going on. And for to hear a coach like that, a top 5 coach like that, well, top 5 is debatable, but 100% a top 10 coach, come out and sound that maybe flustered over a preseason performance, I think like your hat's got to go off to Aaron Glenn and, like you said, dude, Justin Fields in the offense.
Yeah, and the offensive line, keep in mind, you had Tippmann playing guard, you had Myers playing center, so they switched things up there. Membu's first game, Olu, like we all think like Olu's like this veteran player. He's still learning the NFL as well, man. So it's like you have these young building blocks that are finding a way, but they're physical, they're nasty, and it's like one of the questions coming to training camp is who's Steve Hyden as an offensive line coach? Like, is this offensive line coach any good? First time doing it? What's his communication with Engstrand? It just looks different. And again, understand date, time, all this other stuff, but they're more physical. They seem like they're much more in sync. And then if you have an offensive line like that, you can run the football. And the last they did. Now, my question for you is, to me, early on, it just seems like Braylon Allen seems more explosive. He seems more physical. The pile is always moving. He's always getting more yards at, just at the contact. Where Breece Hall maybe still finding his way, which I'm not really sure why. He's a veteran running back. But it looks like Braylon Allen is good to go. Isaiah Davis, I know, got banged up. He looked explosive. Donovan Edwards showed a lot of really good things. So your running back room is clearly stacked. I think Justin Fields said it today. He's like, this room is great. But to me, I still get this feeling that Breece Hall and Braylon Allen in the backfield at the same time. Breece is the receiver. Braylon is the running back. I just kind of get that feeling where that could be the transition here. I'm not sure. I don't know. Like, what do you think about Breece, dude?
I like Breece. I think he's a good running back. Now, would I pay him this huge deal? I don't know. Only time will tell. But I'll say this with Breece. I don't want to jump the gun because everyone hated the Jahmyr Gibbs pick, back with Detroit. And obviously they knew what they were doing. And I'm not comparing Breece to Gibbs as a player. I think Gibbs is the better back. While also having just, obviously more talent, I believe, but I think higher upside as well. But with that said, I look at Breece as still one of the better backs in football when I look at pure potential, because to be honest, like he hasn't had that 1,000-yard like dominant season or anything like that. But if you want to push back on that argument, like which is just the overall production, you can say, all right, well, the Jets aren't really running the ball at all. You look at the offensive line coaching, you look at the offensive coordinator, you look at all the injuries to the quarterback position. This team is constantly down in games. They're trying to throw to come back. Aaron Rodgers, wants to throw the ball. He wants to get his guys involved. So if the Jets can go from the 31st team as far as rushing attempts go to 12 to 11 to 10, I think this team wants to literally be top 5 in rushing the football as far as just overall attempts, whether it's Breece, Fields running, whoever. I mean, I think the production and volume is going to go up, A, and then B, if that's the case, you want to run the ball that much, you're going to need fresh legs. You're going to need multiple backs. You can't just, as much as I wish we had Derrick Henry, we just don't have, in my opinion, it's just not realistic to say, okay, we're going to be the best rushing team in football. We're going to run it a lot and only rely on one running back.
Yep. No, I agree. No, like listen, I like Breece. I just go by the eye test. And it just seems like what we saw last year, what we saw this year, even this preseason game, it's like Braylon Allen, it's like instant energy, instant impact, instant results. So again, that's what we're looking at. And like, Breece is a contract year for him. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He said he's healthy. He's got a lot to prove. New offense. He's learning a lot of new things here. But to me, it's like he's improved it to me. He's got to prove it that he deserves all these reps. Like he said it in training camp and press conferences, like, I've got to prove myself to this coaching staff. Well, he's got to, because right now in the preseason game, it doesn't look like he has it yet. So again, you still have 2 more games, plenty of time to week 1, but that's something I'm keeping an eye on. And then you look keeping an eye on Donovan Edwards, who seems to be coming on, had a long touchdown run that was called back with a holding penalty. But then it's like, can you really keep 4 running backs, especially if you want to keep a fullback and Andrew Beck, who we've talked about the last couple of weeks, who look great, dude. He looks like he's the safety valve. He can block, he can catch, he can do a lot of really good things. He could probably find a nice role as a hybrid tight end if Ruckert continues to struggle and everything else. How do you handle the running back group, as of now, assuming no injuries? I know Isaiah Davis is hurt, but assuming no injuries.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. In regards to Beck, I will say, yeah, you can keep Beck on the roster as a fullback, But I think too, in the back of your head, if you are Aaron Glenn or Tanner Engstrand, you can, like, if that's the plan, you can slice off one of the names at the tight end room, right? Maybe instead of carrying 3 tight ends, you carry 2. And then Beck is that, other maybe rotational guy. So you can maybe save a spot there. How I would look at really the running back room, man, is you got Braylon, you got Brees, you got Isaiah Davis. You have Fields as a runner. Donovan, as much as I love Donovan Edwards, I think, practice squad probably is the most realistic. Now, who knows? Brees Hall, Hall gets traded. We get a draft pick. Donovan Edwards can be RB3. Like, I think in theory that does make sense. But I don't want to get too far ahead of myself over one preseason game because, what happens if we roll out Saturday night against the Giants and Donovan has a fumble?
But it's not really one preseason game. We're talking about Brees. This is something we saw last year too. This is not like, this is his fresh start with the new regime where it's like, all right, new offense, you're healthy, figured out. So look, in terms of like you're valuing your running backs, Brees is like, all right, you got a lot to prove. So I'm not saying trade him or anything, but like this is all their first impressions. And Donovan Edwards is making a really good one.
Yeah. So I was talking about Donovan. If
okay,
Donovan goes out against the Giants and has like a fumble and a drop.
Oh yeah, well then there's
is the fan base looking at the running back room saying, get rid of Brees, Donovan 100% should be RB3. I do think it's important to note that Donovan wasn't drafted. So although if he doesn't make the team, I could see another team scooping him up.
Yep.
But this draft class, man, was loaded at running back, man. Sampson in Cleveland. All these guys, man. New England loaded up. There is Scatterboo, New York Giants. There are so many backs that got drafted this year. Whether it's, in the early rounds or in the later rounds, it kind of makes you think, okay, if Donovan doesn't make the team, you could probably stash him on the practice squad.
Yeah, it's interesting to see like the roster gymnastics because you have like maybe 4 running backs, probably not going to do that. It doesn't unless he has a huge impact on special teams, which Aaron Glenn keeps talking about. Listen, the back end of the roster guys have got to be impact on special teams or they're not going to be here. It's like, okay, you have that Beck looked, dude, that was exactly, this is why probably Muji signed him early on. I think he's first, actually. You keep talking about it, where you see the role he could play. The tight end group is interesting because, Mason Taylor had a high ankle sprain. I'm like, oh, he's going to be out 4 weeks. Friggin' guy played today. It's like, all right, well then that doesn't really match a high ankle sprain, the history of it, but that's great news. So you look at the tight end position, say you have Beck as a hybrid, Mason Taylor, who's going to be a really good receiving threat. Stone Smart put the touchdown on Saturday, look good. Rucker, to me, remains a disappointment. I guess we could agree with on that, right? So do you kind of cut from there? So maybe Rucker's the odd man out, assuming Stone Smart stays. And, I'm trying to figure out how you can play the game. Or do you say, you know what, Stone Smart can be considered more of a wide receiver. Now with Lazard hurt, maybe you can go that way. Maybe have less receivers to keep an extra tight end or an extra running back. Like, how would you consider any of that? Or just stay true to yourself, but listen, 3 running backs, 2 tight ends, receivers, and, go that way.
I hate to kind of give this gray answer, like this in-between answer, but I think I want to see these guys in 2 more preseason games. If Stone Smart rolls out there and has 3 snags, 40 yards, against the Giants or something, it's just like, whoa, hold on a second. Maybe this guy can be tight end too. One thing I do feel like is really, really cool. I remember watching a stream with you and I think it was Joe Blewett months ago, bro. It was a while ago. And both of you guys were talking about Andrew Beck being like, hey, keep your eye on this guy. He's flying under the radar. He was Darren Bushi's first signing. As a general manager, you're not just going to go out and make a signing like that as your first one to just, see the guy get cut in, a couple months. So good call. You and
that was all Joe Blewett, dude. But you think about the role, like you want to be a running football team, a fullback, old school football, a fullback paves the way, man. Unless you want to go 2 running backs, but you have that in the catching. So that's all Joe Blewett, dude. He was all over that, and I'm like, are you serious? Like this guy's that valuable? He's like, yeah, dude. Like that's a really good call on his part.
Yeah, and if you look at like where Tanner Engstrand came from, like working with Jim Harbaugh, we know like how valuable the fullback position is to him in that offense throughout the years. So really encouraging, man. Like to see Andrew Beck just boom, get in granted Mason Taylor was hurt. So, we do have to throw that in there. But to see him just rolling out with the ones, making plays against, again, the Packers starting defense for the most part, super encouraging, man. So, because he looked quick, he looked fast, he was accelerating quickly. He was catching passes looking at the quarterback. He wasn't in stride going down the field. He wasn't like cutting across the field and catching like a slant or anything and taking it upfield. No, he was stationary, looking at the quarterback. He would catch the pass, turn around and move upfield. If I say, picture a fullback doing that 10, 15 yards from the line of scrimmage, you're thinking, okay, a slow clunker. That's not what Beck looked like.
No, I completely agree. So you look at, tight end, fullback, you feel like a little bit encouraged there. Running back, you're loaded. Wide receiver is interesting because you have Garrett Wilson, didn't have any catches, but we know he's a star. After him, Alan Lazard's banged up now. He's hurt. He got out a couple of weeks. Josh Reynolds has been hurt as well. So then Aaron Smith actually looks smoother than I thought he was going to look. Like you were kind of like the rap on him is, inconsistent route runner, bad hands, all this stuff. 2 good catches. He was inches away for a nice deep threat where he had to step on the guy. But it's like, all right, he's working his ass off. Like you see after every practice on the jug machine, he's committed to it. He's got a chip on his shoulder. If he can develop into something, he may get a lot of reps too because this wide receiver group's banged up. Corley seems like he's still disappointment in my eyes. He's got a lot to prove, but Aaron Smith may pay a role for himself here.
Yeah, dude. I mean, really, from the moment he was drafted, like that, legit, right when he was drafted, he became the fastest player on the team, and he became the team's best deep threat right off the bat. So having those two skill sets, or having that skill set, I think kind of separates Arian Smith right from the beginning of camp. Like, hey, you are number one in literally 2 humongous categories of the offense. And to be quite honest, like if you look back at whether it's 2024, 2023, 2022, we didn't really have like these explosive field stretchers where you're just ripping the safeties off the top of the defense. Like we just don't really have that. Like we didn't, from a personnel standpoint, we didn't have that element. And then from the coaching standpoint, we didn't really call shots down the field, which was also pretty frustrating. But, think about like if you're a defensive coach, you're playing the Jets in 2023, 2024. Okay, we know they don't throw the ball down the field. And we also know that they don't have anyone that can actually run past our safeties.
Maybe
so.
Gibson.
Yeah, maybe Gibson, but I mean, even if he's doing that, that's in the slot. So, what from a defensive coordinator's like game planning mindset, of course the offense is not going to have a lot of success when everything is kind of in that short to intermediate passing attack with like a lot of play action. Like, I don't know, it just felt super black and white, very no disrespect, but just like a very simplified offense. But now with Arian Smith, it adds this new element to it. Hey, if he can just show off the wheels in preseason, come week 1 against the Steelers, week 2 rolls around, week 3 against the Bucks, if he shows off maybe a couple deep plays in the preseason, whether he's connecting on these catches or not, if he just shows off the wheels, it just puts the thought in defensive coordinators, hey, hold on a second, I got to account for this guy. Maybe I'm not going to drop a strong safety into the box. Maybe I will, have my safeties play a step or 2 back when Arian's on the field. So I like Arian Smith a lot.
Yeah, especially if he shows he can catch the ball. It's one thing to have the speed, but if he's actually shown like, listen, this kid's catching the ball too. He's definitely a threat. Now, your boy Oscar the Grouch got a great comment. Tyson is my boy Brandon Smith going to finally make the team this season.
Look
and the
good.
thing is, now keep in mind, this is a guy that Aaron Rodgers really liked too last year. Aaron Rodgers like, this kid's got some talent. He had, I think it was 2 catches on Saturday night. He seems like he's finding a role and he's taking advantage of all these injuries. Like a lot of these guys are out, keep making plays. And that's the one thing Aaron Glenn keeps saying was competition, rise to the occasion, you find a spot in the roster. It seems like Brandon Smith's doing exactly that, dude.
Yeah, dude, he had a couple of sweet plays against the Packers, one of which was like a slam where the ball came in pretty hot and he was able to reach out and, and look, these are, they're NFL players. You do expect them to make, catches and stuff like that, even if the situation isn't ideal. But I think Brandon Smith is someone that, yeah, dude, you're right. There's a portion of the fan base talking about him a lot last season. Aaron Rodgers was a big fan of him. So I think there's a chance, especially with the injuries, man. One name that you haven't mentioned, Tyler Johnson. I felt like he looked pretty good. Oh, there you go. Yeah, there you go. I would say right now, yes, wide receiver 4, 100%.
Yeah, so and the one guy, Skinner, had a really good catch too. It was like a catch too. So that was really good too. So a lot of like things to keep an eye on. You had the practice today, but then also you want to see it on Sunday. Now, the question I have for you is we covered a lot of the offense, Justin Fields. After that, you had the Tyrod Taylor thing, dude. I told you this felt weird. When Aaron Glenn was like, "Oh, it's a knee thing. Don't worry about it. No big deal." I'm like, dude, he's not practicing. He's not around. Something is up. Lo and behold, today we find out he's out for the rest of preseason, maybe ready for week 1. Now, to me, the trickle down for that is twofold. I liked having him here because when Justin Fields comes out, you have a veteran guy to help install the offense and be a mentor to Fields and keep doing a lot of things. He can still do that being on the field, like kind of in a not being, like not practicing, he can still do that, but that goes away. Second thing is if he's not ready for week 1, are you comfortable saying, okay, Adrian Martinez, you're our backup quarterback? To me, it's like if you're going to preach competition and your best chance to win, everything like that, to me, I want a veteran guy that's played in the NFL before behind Justin Fields, which Tyrod Taylor was that guy. Now it gets kind of sketchy, dude, where you're like, all right, is he ready for week 1? Is he not? Do you consider bringing somebody else in now, especially if Brady Cook hurt? There's another training camp arm, but a guy, I mean, Carson Wentz is the name everybody keeps talking about, but a guy like that? Or do you say, you know what, let's go 2 more preseason games, and then if we're not comfortable with Tyrod, then we sign a guy? I'd rather have a guy learn the offense now instead of learning after the fact.
Yeah, I think it's easy for first off, your boy just was released. He's out in the open market. I don't know if you saw.
No.
I'm sure you did. You're a huge fan. Tim Boyle. He's out in the market.
I hate you.
I think he had 2 picks in his tights in the Titans game.
Killed my liver.
No, I think it's easy for fans right now to say, okay, you know what, Tyrod, maybe he's out for that week 1 game. It didn't sound like there was any sort of like panic for like he's gonna miss week 2, week 3, week 4 or anything. It sounded like maybe week 1. But if you're Darren Muji, understanding, okay, you know what, if we do go out and sign a quarterback, they have a little bit of leverage. I mean, obviously they know that they're going to be the backup, but they know that, hey, the Jets, they need someone here. So I just don't see a situation where the Jets they sign a quarterback for like the veteran minimum, like a quality backup, for like $1 million or like the whatever the minimum is, 900 something K.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, maybe I think if you wanted to argue, like if Josh Johnson or somebody like that gets released, or like Hendon Hooker gets released from Detroit, like someone that kind of has like familiarity with the offense, that you're not going to have to shell out like $6 or $7 million. Because if the Jets sign, say, one of these backup quarterbacks to like a 1-year, $6 million deal, and then Tyrod's like good to go by the 3rd preseason game, it's like, okay, well, like there's $6 million gone that we
but if you do a veteran minimum, though, is no big deal. Like if you get a veteran minimum, like a kind of incentive-laden contract to get a guy in the building, I'm not opposed to that at all, dude. Like I don't want to. What I hate about the Jets in the past is they've always been reactive instead of proactive. If you literally know Tyrod's missing the rest of training camp, he's already out, and then maybe week 1, that to me is like, okay, it doesn't hurt you to sign somebody else, to have another training camp arm in here, with all due respect to Adrian Martinez, but like, listen, have a guy that's actually started an NFL game before in case Justin Fields get hurt. So he gets banged up, whatever happens, you at least can step in to run the offense, right? Like, I don't want a kid in there, like, Adrian Martinez in there, gun shy, lost, overwhelmed. They're like, oh, here we go again. It's similar to when Zach Wilson got, or when Rodgers got hurt. Like different situation. Like when a big guy goes down, have a serviceable backup. Don't just hand it to Zach Wilson. Like, here you go. Like, have another serviceable guy behind you. And to me, it's like I'm in that boat now where, like, I'm not opposed if you can find somebody cheap. It can't hurt to bring him in. You're not taking reps away from anybody. Tyrod's reps are gone. And now Brady Cook's hurt too.
So here are 4 names that are currently out there. Jeff Driscoll.
Oof.
Jake Fromm.
Oh.
Carson Wentz. CJ Beathard.
I don't mind Wentz. I mean, I don't mind Wentz at all. It's a serviceable guy, dude. Again, we're not talking about 1 year, $10 million. It's a guy you're bringing to camp. He's with the Chiefs last year, right? And then it's like you let him come in and just throw the ball around a little bit, and just it's an insurance plan. If you're only paying $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, like it's insurance to make sure you have it right. That's where here's another guy, Tommy Cutlets. He'll come very cheap too, and he doesn't have to move. But to me, it's on my radar, dude. For real. Like you can love Adrian Martinez all you want, but when the bright lights are on week 1, I want to know if Fields gets banged up or something happens, that you have a serviceable backup in there, not a kid that's playing his first game in the NFL.
Yeah, and we do know that Pittsburgh's defense is physical. They will tackle. We also 100%. Know that Fields likes to run. So, yeah, that's kind of like another element in there too, or maybe not. Maybe this isn't really being talked about throughout the week or anything, but Fields maybe subconsciously, maybe he's not gonna run as much. Maybe he will step out of bounds early if he knows, hey, if I'm out, then we got to roll in Brady Cook or Adrian Martinez or something like that. Now, to be fair, I think both of those guys actually looked pretty okay, pretty good given the context. Both Cook and Martinez.
No, like
didn't Martinez actually get a regular season drive or two for us last season?
I think he did towards the end of the season, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
No, like in the game on Saturday night, like the one thing I liked about all the quarterbacks, they all look comfortable. Cook looked comfortable. Martinez looked comfortable. Like the moment wasn't too big for them. The offense flowed. There wasn't like a couple of years, like the last couple of years, you saw passes. Like, what the hell is this team doing? They look prepared. They understand what their routes were, what their schemes were. They understand all of it, which is great. But I'm worried about week one. That's where I'm looking. Like, all right, good, feel good story, good developmental projects. You're learning under the field and everything. But now, again, it's how much. I guess how did the Jets think about this? Is it really we're just saving him until week one and Tyrod's going to be fine? Or if it's like we're going to wait 3 weeks, see how he reacts to it. I don't want to be reactive, dude. That's the last thing where it's like the fourth, last week of preseason, we're signing a guy. Oh, he's already an insurance policy. I hate that. I hate when we do that.
So would you trade a pick for a quarterback?
I think
because
Wentz,
if you
dude.
don't, those are the 4 options before Driscoll, from Wentz, and
I take a flyer on Wentz to see what happens, and then keep an eye on the cuts when the cuts happen. I wouldn't trade any picks as of yet, unless Tyrod's going to be out. You're like, all right, well, this is a problem. Like he's going to be out for the year, or he's going to be out till week 8, right?
Oh yeah. If that's the case, dude, I like because the way I kind of interpreted it was what was it? He had a knee scope.
Yep.
It's a wear and tear injury from Aaron Glenn, or according to Aaron Glenn. And he could miss week 1, but he might be good to go. So I don't know. Like for me, I don't necessarily want to trade a 5th or a 6th round pick for a quarterback. But then again, you could always push back. And I saw Yo Holmes talking about it before. Even when Tyrod does come back, does it mean that he's going to stay healthy from here on out? Because it's not like we had a game. It's not like he got hit. This injury just kind of popped up. So who's to say that this won't happen again in 2 months? So, it does make sense if you do want to go down the Carson Wentz route. But like you're trying to look across the league, is Cleveland going to keep the 5 quarterbacks on their roster? Right. Well, maybe the Saints aren't a good example because they're all pretty young, but they have like a 3-man competition going right now. Tanner McKee from Philly looked freaking sweet. Obviously he's not going to be the guy in Philly, but I think he could definitely hold down the fort and also fits the system. I don't know. Teddy just signed with Tampa. That would have been a sweet addition.
That's the perfect kind of guy, dude. And how much money did he get?
Detroit. He knew Tanner Engstrand.
Exactly. That's exactly the guy. That's exactly what I was thinking of. But overall, if you look at the offense between the practice today, where they had practice today was good news, where a lot of guys came back. Simpson on offense. Simpson's now back, which is good. But if there is if you had an area of concern on the offense going forward, going into this week against the Giants, what would it be? Is it the lack of depth at wide receiver, the concerns at tight end? Like it feels like the offensive line is becoming like a strength now. We're like, what? I like this guy. We see some depth. We see some versatility with Myers and Tippmann, which is really good. What would be your concerns?
I would say, wide receiver depth is always going to be an issue, but it's not like we don't have guys stepping up and making plays. If we're not going to be seeing Lazard out there, maybe Skinner makes some more plays. Maybe Brandon Smith makes some more plays. God, man, like the fan in me wants Corley to separate, but it's just not happening, dude.
Me too.
Maybe this could be the week. I'm not sure. How confident am I in Corley just dominating this Saturday? I'd probably say unlikely. It sucks, but it just is what it is. But again, dude, Tyler Johnson, I felt like looked pretty good. What did he have? 2 catches?
Yeah.
I believe on the first 2 drives combined. But regardless, I like Tyler. Josh banged up. Yeah, we'll see. Is he for sure going to miss this game?
That's my point though. It's like we don't know, but that's like Lazard and Josh Reynolds. Again, we don't like Lazard, but he is what he is. He's a reliable guy for the team in theory, a veteran. Him and Reynolds both being out, you're like, all right, young guys got to step up. That's not really a good plan. Now you're counting on Tyler Johnson and Arian Smith. Like your pecking order is going down pretty quick. Where it's like, oh, And another guy we haven't mentioned either too is Pritchett too.
Yes. Yes. Would you, if you were Darren Muji, say this continues, because Lazard's going to miss what, 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
1 or 2 weeks. Josh Reynolds, again, banged up, status up in the air. Would you actually trade away a draft pick to go land one of these guys? Like, would it start maybe sinking in and becoming more real today, or this week, I should say, compared to 3 weeks ago?
I'd say after this Saturday, if the injury chart, the injuries remain the same, I start getting a little nervous. Where Lazard's still out, Reynolds is still banged up. We're going into third preseason game. Their status remains unknown. Like, we may need to get another veteran here to kind of just because, again, we talked about this many times, dude. I don't want Justin Fields dropping back and the guy not being where you're supposed to be, or he can't separate and things like that. You can scheme all you want. At some point, you got to be a good receiver and a reliable receiver. And you want to trust these guys. I don't, like, in his back of mind, does he trust Corley right now? Probably not. Gibson, probably not. Like, you don't know. So it's like you bring in that guy, it's probably good value, but it's who is that player. So I'd give it another week, but then I revisit it for sure.
Yeah, because they obviously got the up close and personal look at the Packers wide receivers.
Sure did.
And, Christian Watson is hurt. But he's on the final year of his deal. Romeo Dobbs, I believe, is also in the final year of his deal. They already have Reed. They drafted Matt Golden. They drafted
loaded.
Yeah, who did they draft from TCU? The name's escaping me. Savion Williams. And then Dontavian Wicks, who has seen NFL regular season snaps. Not saying that these guys are amazing, but if the Jets trade a late round pick to a mid round pick for depending on who, and then maybe hand out a 2-year extension or something like that. Yeah, Michael, maybe something like that could transpire, but I still feel pretty confident in Jawan Jennings making the most sense for this Jets team with, if we're talking trades this month.
Yeah, and Katie's making a good point too. In terms of returners, do the Jets keep 4 running backs, and do they keep? It's tough, dude. Like, special teams is a premium on special teams. But then, like, who's going to be your returners? Your punt returner, your kick returner? Do they just give it to Gibson? They're trying out Pritchett. They're trying out all these different guys. I mean, how do you handle returner? It's some interesting choices here, man.
That to me, like the whole return battle, that's going to go for 3 weeks. The remainder of the preseason, right? 2 more games, in my opinion, wide open competition. I would not be completely opposed to putting Arian Smith back there, but the drops do worry me. I don't want there to be a correlation come the regular season where he's muffing a punt. But the speed definitely, fires me up because, again, he's the fastest player on the team. And, if you like historically look back at some of the greatest punt returners in NFL history, it's like these guys have blazing speed. Yeah,
but the thing with that, though, is I want Arian Smith to master his craft as a wide receiver and not worry about the responsibilities of being a returner. Maybe that's just kind of my old school way of thinking, but it's like, listen, man, he's working so hard at being a really good receiver and getting his confidence up and getting a flow in the offense to now add him as a returner too. It's like, is that the smartest thing, the way to handle this when you have other guys on this team that's supposed to be specialists that should be taking this job? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, don't do it by default. Like, make these guys earn their spot or go find somebody else, right? Like, I don't know. Like, I just want Smith to be just earn his stripes as a receiver and just focus on that at this point.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair.
So offense, we covered a lot. Defense is interesting. We've got good news today. Quinn Williams is back. Jermaine Johnson is back. So that's great news. Saturday night, you saw a lot of really good things. I was kind of curious. We talked about the run defense forever, dude. Like, how's this defense going to be? Are they going to be physical? Can they generate a pass rush? And they came out flying, dude. And it was funny because I think I was going to text you. The first play of the game, they're offsides. Dude, I started cursing. I was like, are you kidding me? Same goddamn Jet team. What are we doing? And all of a sudden, but they played fast. They played physical. You saw a lot of really good things on the defensive line. A lot of guys stood out. What was your impression of that front?
Loved it, dude. Loved it. Understanding that there was no Q, there was no Cowart, who supposedly has looked great in training camp.
Yep.
And again, dude, we're going up against the Packers first team. It would be a completely different story if we were going up against the practice squad members of the Packers, but it wasn't the case, dude. Jordan Love's out there. Tom's out there. They rolled out some serious talent. And for us to be down multiple guys here, 3-4, like 75% here of the starting D line, for us to look like that, I feel like is pretty impressive. But and I actually said this in the recap video, it really felt like every player of the defense D-line, linebackers, safeties, corners, what have you, first team, second team, they all played like Quincy Williams played last year, which is foot slammed down on the gas pedal, 0 to 100, whistle to whistle, down to down, not taking plays off.
Yep.
It just looked like a fast physical football team. And that is something that, Quinnen and Quincy always brought to the table. Sherwood as well, but for a lot of guys on this team, it just didn't. Will McDonald as well, but lots of guys, it just kind of felt like going through the motions. Let's just kind of get out of here. Hopefully they'll punt.
Well,
but
there's two things to that. I think Saleh really discounted the preseason games. He's like, it's just, we're not worried about them. We have joint practices. So that whole competition thing didn't seem like it was really there. That was the first thing. Saleh, I hated Saleh's approach to preseason games completely. The other thing is Sauce Gardner, dude. Sauce Gardner, in my opinion, set the absolute tone for this defense when he came out. Physical, he was hitting, he was in tight coverage, and he brought that emotion and intensity to the field where all these young players are like, wow, that's like a leader. Like, that's setting our standard. Our standard is the way he played in that game. And everybody felt like kind of went off that energy where you saw, playing harder, playing physical. To me, Sauce was a tone setter early on in this game. That really set the message to the team.
One thing, and this is kind of off topic, but it just kind of popped in my head. I kind of want to bring it up. To be fair, to be objective, Green Bay had a ton of mistakes, drops, penalties, just weird things happening to them, missed blocks, missed assignments. I wonder because the Giants looked pretty damn good against the Bills. They looked like they were in control. But how do the Jets fare when the opposition isn't committing? Now, it's not to say that, the Giants are going to be, rolling out this perfect game and everything and have no mistakes, but there were quite a few for Green Bay, if we're just being honest. So if we don't have all these drops happening on the other side of the line of scrimmage, if we don't have all this confusion and whatnot, I wonder how it'll look. In other words, if the playing field, and it's crazy because we're talking about the Packers first teamers here, but if the playing field is maybe a little bit more even across the board, I wonder how we're going to look.
Compete, rise to the occasion. That's what you want. Like, let it bring out the best in you. And that's what I'm saying. Like, the way the Jets competed as a team, you talked about it, offense, defense, special teams. They were all fully involved. They wanted to win the game. They wanted to show to their coach they could earn their spot, earn more playing time. I thought Sauce brought it. How do you say his guy's name? Tufele? How do you say his name?
Tufele.
Yeah, dude, he was incredible. Like, his energy he brought, he was explosive, he was nasty with the strips. They did all kinds of things. We're like, all right, Quinnen's out, Cowart's out, Jermaine Johnson's not playing, and they still just kept competing and bringing a lot of intensity to the field, which is what you want. That's their standard, that's their blueprint, and that's what now we're going to expect this week and next week. Like, we talked about it. You always want to see, like, when you play the Baltimore Ravens, you know what to expect. When you play the Chiefs, the Bills, you know what to expect. The Jets, we never knew what to expect. They're Jekyll and Hyde. Some days they show up, some days they didn't care. If now you become more consistent and this is your model, it gets really interesting. And I think they're embracing that. And hopefully they build on it. They're not backing down from anybody. They're not being soft. They're being coached very hard. Like, the one thing with Aaron Glenn, especially on defense, you had, Michael Clemens thing pissed me off to no end when he did that, because it's the same nonsense he did last year after the play. It's like, I know he's a fake tough guy, dude. Like, being tough, but it's stupid. And at some point it cost your team yards, and he was out that play. Next play he came out, right? Then you saw, I think it was Watts had the late hit out of bounds, but it was close. But then you had McCurry Ball did the same thing. He got ripped to shreds on the sideline, which, listen, we've got to be a smarter team. You can be physical, don't be dumb. I like the way he handled his defense, because you want them, getting after it and being aggressive, but you can't be, playing hazard. It's like that. So what do you think about the defense in terms of their style of play, which they've talked about for a couple of weeks now?
I think it's tough to be this physical, violent, aggressive defense. I think it's tough hearing that from coaches as players day after day after day after day, knowing I can't hit Justin Fields. I can't really fully go out, like 100% attack these offensive linemen in practice for obvious reasons. Like, you're not going to have Tony Adams just be, head hunting for Garrett Wilson in training camp, right? Obviously not. But in preseason, especially in that first game, you're in Lambeau Field, your stadium is filled with Packers fans. First crack at the bat in for 2025. Lots of these guys don't have for sure starting spots. Like, Tufele's not a on paper starter. McCray Ball, I know he's listed as the weak side starting linebacker right now, but there's going to be a lot of nickel. I mean, you can almost argue like the nickel defense is going to be like the base defense with 2 linebackers on the field and 5 DBs. So, a lot of these, like if just every day, if I put myself in their shoes, I just, I'm not going to kill these guys for playing like that. And sometimes it boils over the edge. I think sometimes it happens.
Screw that. Sometimes it happens nonsense. I cannot deal. That's just discipline, dude. Lay hits out of bounds is discipline. It is.
Well, it happened in Detroit last season.
Yeah. And listen, like it's a fine line with it, but it's like that 15 yards is huge. And I guess to go back to the comment, Keto, you're right. Clemens to me is like, take that intensity that you have after the whistle and use it before the whistle. How about that idea? Be a nasty player when it actually counts and make plays. That's what he's supposed to be doing. All the after whistle stuff is just garbage. It's just nonsense. And to my point, it's just like, I think this team, the way they're currently constructed, they're going to run the football, play good defense, play good special teams, and the games are going to be close. You know what costs you close games? Stupid penalties. And that's the stuff you got to get rid of. That's, it's like, you want those, like the aggressive play, but you got to understand if you're 5 yards out of bounds, don't hit the guy. It's never going to be a good idea ever.
Yeah. I'm not saying, oh yeah, we got to play undisciplined football, but being realistic, I'm not expecting A+ performances, like one step at a time. I can't look at some of these guys who are, whether they're on the roster bubble or they're fighting for a starting spot and say, you got to play violent, you got to hit hard, you have to play whistle. Because what's been Quincy Williams' biggest knock in his career? It's the late hit to the quarterback. It's this, the late hit out of bounds. They happen. And you think about like the violent players throughout the course of like the NFL history, right? Patrick Willis, Troy Polamalu, Ray Lewis, like they would have those moments of, like, Vontaze Burfict was like this too, like
he was
where it would boil
worst.
over, where it's okay, maybe it's a little too much, and so it's, I think it's a fine line as a coach, because you don't want to dial guys back, and you also don't want to, because all those guys play instinctual football. They're trusting their gut, they're trusting what they see. So all of a sudden, if you, and again, I'm not saying I'm okay with these guys, playing undisciplined football. But I'm just saying, first week of preseason, I'm not expecting every single member on the defense to be 100% perfect.
No, I agree. And again, we're kind of like just picking. To me, it's just like, based on what we saw last year, we know what this team's capable of in terms of stupid penalties. We want to start setting the tone now. I think Aaron Glenn's doing a really good job of it. The thing I like about him is when he walked off the field, he was in their face right there. Like, it wasn't like, I'll talk about him in the locker room. No, we're going to talk about it right now. This is like, real-time coaching, which is refreshing to see. Now, your boy I thought Cisco looked really good, dude. Cisco seemed
big, right?
Right? He looked big. He looked like he's flying around. He's always around the ball. He has excellent range. Looks like he'd be a really good playmaker in this defense.
Yeah, not afraid to put his body on the line. Like, he made one play in the deep parts of the field. I think it was him and Tony Adams, and they split up. They had a pass deflection. But yeah, he looked rangy. I also liked how Steve Wilkes is moving him around. I wasn't really expecting it in preseason. Although I will say, because I spent the whole weekend watching football, man. One of the weird trends that I saw was first off, we saw a lot of starters.
Yes,
Kyler Murray, Joe Burrow, like a lot of big name dude, Patrick Mahomes. But we also saw defensive coordinators actually not just roll out just the basic,
they got aggressive.
The basic vanilla calls that these guys have been seeing for years. It's like we're seeing, like I felt like we saw like some weak side blitzes, safety blitzes off the side, delay blitzes. Like, there was just a lot of creative looks that Wilkes was throwing at Green Bay. And you just picked it up in the first quarter, and you're kind of watching saying, okay, you know what? Like, these guys aren't really messing around here. No,
and another guy's Malachi Moore, who's going to be really interesting too. Like, he's going to be a chess piece for Aaron Glenn and Steve Wilkes, where him and Cisco are going to be really interesting. I'm not sure where Tony Adams' role is going to be. I think he got hurt as well, didn't he? I think Tony Adams got hurt.
I think so.
But I think that's an opportunity for Malachi Moore there too, to step up and get some reps too, because he seems like, I think they're going to be really aggressive, man. I think if they can't generate pressure with their pass rush, they're going to be blitzing and doing all kinds of creative stuff and exotic looks.
Yeah. I mean, what's kind of because like so I think for me, like, to kind of put a bow on the Packers game, it was just really nice to see the Jets actually for once walk the walk.
Yep.
In the past we've heard
Yes.
it, oh, Super Bowl contender, whatever, oh, we're really good on paper, all gas no break, whatever, we've heard it all.
Yep.
But we've heard a lot this training camp from reporters. This team is physical, this team is doing things old school, they are fast, they're aggressive, they're flying around. But we saw it in preseason. Like, we actually saw it in preseason happen, and it took place before our very eyes. So that is really, really positive. But of course, you can't just continue to harp back on one preseason game if it doesn't continue. If we roll out against the Giants and there's just mistakes all over the place and we looked undisciplined and just a weird showing, I think we really need to stack that, continue to stack bricks, in other words, right? Look at that Packers game. What did we do well? Awesome. Let's build upon it. Where do we suck at? Where are the mistakes? Let's try to clean some of those up this week. And by the way, Giants joint practice tomorrow. I only thought it was a one-day joint practice session.
Yeah, they're playing at Giants tomorrow. And that's before we go into today's practice. My question for you is this: Glenn preached competition. He played the starters one series on Saturday. Now this week is a different week because now you have joint practice where now you have 2 full days of your ones versus ones. Like, you're getting a lot of really good reps, quality reps. Do you think Glenn scales back this Saturday and say, okay, listen, we've already practiced against them twice. I don't need my starters playing against them in a preseason game Saturday night. We already know the looks. We know what they bring. We already have plenty of tape to review and get better on. Or he says the game's a game. Like, how would you handle it? This week is very unique as opposed to last week.
Yeah, personally, I think I would honestly rest the first team offense.
Me too.
Because you have these 2 joint practice sessions, which is, it is what it is. But also, kind of go back to the start of the stream, Tyrod Taylor hurt. Do you want to run the risk of putting Fields out there? I know you can't really coach and act scared, to roll guys out there in preseason and stuff. And obviously the decision to roll Fields out there last week really paid dividends. I think we both agreed with that decision. But this week it's like, okay, if you roll Fields out there and he does get hurt, it's like this twofold type of injury now, because now you don't even have a backup in Tyrod, who, do you want to run the risk of being down your starter and your backup week 1 against, a talented Steelers team? I don't know. Now, of course, you can make that argument in the 3rd preseason week, but that game, I believe, is on a Friday. So it's a short week against the Eagles, no joint practices. So if the Jets want to play it safe, I'm cool with it. If they do want to play Fields, I only want to see 1 drive.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same exact boat. So you look at today's practice, and today I was really excited about today because the Giants' defensive front is so freaking good, dude. They are stacked. You have inside guys, outside guys, speed guys. You have it all. So this young offensive line with Olu and Membu are getting legit quality reps, dude. Not discounting Will McDonald, but you have Brian Burns and Abdul Carter and Dexter Lawrence. Like, you're learning on the fly against some of the best in football. I thought, win or lose, this is a great experience where you can learn. And like Aaron Glenn said today, they won some, they lost some, but you take that tape and say, listen, this is a learning opportunity here. You don't win a practice. You don't win a joint practice. You learn and you try to get better from it. I think this is so invaluable for them, dude. It's a really good idea they're doing this, but that defensive front from the Giants, dude, it's no joke at all.
Yeah, and to kind of hear that Olu had a solid day and Membu had moments going up, I think, against Brian Burns, and then a lot of it was Thibodeau off the left side. From like the offensive perspective, that was pretty positive. It sounded like from both Jets and Giants reporters that it was the Jets started really hot. Fields completing a bunch of passes, the offense moving, the offensive line looking really good, and then it kind of tailored off. And then they did score on the last team drill. I think it was Ruckert who had a touchdown grab from Fields.
Yep.
But with the defense, it sounded like same style of story, right? Jets defense is all over the Giants offense, multiple sacks, multiple bad throws. Russell Wilson just was not looking good. Dart was not looking good. But as the Giants first team offense and for that matter, second team offense kind of continue to go through these reps, they started to pick it up a little bit more. And by the end of practice, the Giants were actually, on fire. And the Jets defense was kind of, a little shaky.
Yeah, well, the Giants also had no Neighbors, no Hyatt. They had a lot of playmakers out too, where you wanted to see Sauce versus Neighbors.
Yeah.
So, but it's like it's good competition. It's somebody new. You're trying to learn. Like, that's the one thing. Like, we got so excited from last week. Oh, preseason game, but they're still learning their offense. They're still learning their defense. And the Giants have, really good, their defense is a good challenge for the offense. Their offense, Russell Wilson's all right, but like not having Neighbors there was kind of like, all right. And you want to kind of see more. I think Aaron Glenn even said that they're hoping their playmakers will play to kind of challenge them a little bit. But it's interesting battles, dude. Like it's a lot of really good things. They're not getting overwhelmed. And the one thing I like is you're not seeing, because the media they're looking right now. The Jets media is looking for holes, looking for something to criticize. You're not saying, well, the coaching's terrible. They're not prepared. They're making a lot of mistakes. It's just talent things. Like this, they got beat on this play, but it wasn't like, oh, they look lost out there. They look prepared. It's good competition, which is refreshing for me because in years past, it wasn't like that, dude. There was disorganization. It was just, there's fights all over the place. There weren't really productive practices where media walked away saying, I'm not really sure what we learned today. And that's not what you want out of a practice when you only have so many padded practices. So today it seemed like it was very productive for both sides, Jets and Giants.
Yeah, and really that's the whole goal of joint practice,
Yep.
So yeah, hopefully we get similar updates tomorrow ahead of that game on Saturday. But man, I'm pumped for it. I'm pumped for that game.
Yeah, I'm pumped. It's just like you hope there's no injuries. Like usually the second day of joint practices is usually the ugly one because they're getting tired of each other. Right now it's like 90-something degrees in New Jersey. The second day is usually when all the fights happens. Hopefully both teams stay composed. I know Dable and Glenn are good friends, so they're kind of like, listen, we have mutual respect. And our teams should respect each other. And hopefully you build on it, and then you go into Saturday and see what happens. And if they don't play the starters, which I had that funny feeling that's what's probably going to happen, this is an opportunity for all these young guys. Like you look at Leonard Taylor, dude. He's coming on. Like players like that, this is your chance to make your impact and earn that roster spot or earn that playing time. Aaron Smith, Corley's got to be Ruckert. All these guys, like you only have so many passes here before they say, you know what, here comes the cutdowns. You're one of them, right?
Yeah, Donovan Edwards. I mean, we could throw a bunch of different guys in the mix. Yeah, I to kind of go back to the original question, should the starters play? Should they not play? I'm honestly fine just rolling with the twos. Defensively, honestly, I would not mind rolling out the starters, but offensively, I'm rolling with the twos. I think if I had to make the call right now.
Yeah, and then the other piece of all this is special teams, where you saw a lot of good things out of Isaiah Oliver. Stiggers was down there. They were aggressive everywhere, and that's
the punt cover, bro. The punt coverage was honestly awesome, dude. I could not believe how just fast these guys were getting downfield making plays.
And that's a credit to Banjo. Banjo's a first-time coordinator, and it's like he's a special teams demon in his own right. But now it's like you're seeing that where the concerns you have about all these first-time coordinators, you're starting to feel a little bit better about. Like, all right, they're not overwhelmed right now. Preseason game, we understand it, but a lot of positives there. The punter was a friggin' assassin. He looked awesome too. I'm like, this kid can punt, which is a good sign. So a lot of positives, man.
Yeah, I think whether it's today in joint practice, again, that Packers game, all good stuff. All good stuff. There's really not much outside of the Tyrod Taylor injury that you can look at and say like, oh my God, what are we doing here? Because I know like you, me, last couple training camps, there's been some weird moments. Whether it be someone actually does, someone getting hurt, someone having like a weird quote in press conference, or like Aaron Rodgers' calf injury, is that popping up, or just weird things like that. But yeah, dude, all positive stuff.
And the one thing I like about this too is like now it seems like a lot of Jet fans were skeptical coming to the preseason. Like, this team, I have no expectations. I don't care. They're going to suck, all this. And now it's like they seem like a team that's very easy to like, right? They're no nonsense. They play hard, no headlines at all. Nobody's saying a word in terms of like any catchy headlines. Justin Fields is very quiet, very humble. It's a team like, all right, I can rally around this team. They're young. They play hard, to play physical, and they're going to compete every week. Okay.
Yeah, no drama.
It's very easy to like them at this point, right? It's like, all right, now we can see Jermaine Johnson's coming back. He's a very likable guy. He's going to bring a lot of, whole nother facet to the defense. So it's like maybe, they're going to, this fan base will actually rally around this team instead of being divided. Like, I don't care, it's a tank season. Just call me next year. Like they can be getting some support now finally.
Yeah, a lot of people have been saying that same thing with the Patriots, because like they have a bunch of new faces, lots of young guys. And Vrabel, right? Like Glenn, former player, former Patriot, knows the team. So I do, those Jet Patriots games are going to be so much fun to watch. So much fun because, in the past, of course, the two teams had a rivalry, but it was always New England winning, and it sucked. But now you kind of feel like New England and the Jets are kind of on the same page, right? They're starting their new regimes over literally at the same exact time. Now, of course, New England has a jump start on, their quarterback up at the top of the draft, where with Fields, that's not a for sure thing. But I think both teams are actually pretty similar.
Yeah, and the one thing I like too, and this is a nitpicking things, I was so excited to watch the game, dude. I'm trying to watch everything because you want to learn about this team. It's like when the starters came out, they were still very invested in the game. Like they were like helping their teammates come up. Like Sauce was very active, Garrett was very active. Like when their teammates came off the field, they're coaching younger players up, giving them insight, giving advice. Where in years past, it was kind of like, all right, I'm gonna go sit on the bench with the towel over my head and kind of hang out and talk to Aaron Rodgers or hang out. And it's kind of like, do whatever else. It seems like this is more of a cohesive team where it's like, we're all in this together. We all got to play together. We got to help each other because that's the only way to win games. It seems like that environment's changed a little bit too. Again, it's one game, that's all we know, but it seems like that's kind of changed as well.
Yeah, and Zachary, no, I actually didn't read that Cook got stepped on. I heard he got hurt, but I didn't know he actually got stepped on.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
I wonder if it was the same offensive lineman. Well, actually, you know what? One thing that I did find a little concerning today was Joe Tippmann's performance. Supposedly bad snap, and he also got beat a couple times. Granted, it was by Abdul Carter, but I don't know. It just that whole center thing is just not going away.
It's the minute I saw Josh Myers at center and Tippmann at guard, I'm like, this is getting really interesting. But now Simpson's back, so now it seems like the Tippmann Myers thing is back under whatever, and everybody keeps praising Tippmann. But that familiarity between Fields and Myers doesn't go away, dude. That's something you wonder. We'll see what happens like two more games from now, or even tomorrow in practice if anything changes. That's an interesting one to watch.
Yeah. Yep. 100%.
Did I miss everything? I kind of overpowered you with all my commentary. Did I miss anything that you want to talk about?
I think we're good, man. Joint practice, Packer game, kind of previewed this week. Fields, defensive line. I think we did a pretty. I think we covered a lot.
Yeah, I'm excited, dude. I just want to keep seeing the build on it. No injuries. Looking for your cat?
Hey, give me 1 second. Yeah, he's scratching the door, but the paint is coming off. Hold on.
Got the cat, the thicker kicker, tackling. The tackling would seem better too, man. A lot of better pursuit, better aggressiveness.
All right, I'm back. He's good.
I had the same thing, dude. My cat was over there. It was stuck by the garbage pail. I had to kind of like get up by the garbage pail. I'm like, what's going on over here?
Dude, I love your cat.
It's so funny. But so, I mean, we covered a lot. It's exciting. Want to see him build on it. No injuries. Joint practice tomorrow with the Giants. Game on Saturday. And then it's just like this season's coming up fast, dude. Like I'm like you. I try to watch all different games. And the one thing I did notice was that a lot of teams are playing their starters, which is interesting. Where I think teams are trying to avoid those slow starts in the early part of the season, where you start chasing your tail when you're 1-3, 1-2. Like you want to come out fast and get those early wins. And it's a different approach from the NFL, man.
Yeah, dude. I think it was what was it? Friday night. It was Bengals Eagles.
Yeah.
It could have been Thursday. And I remember kind of getting in like a little late. I threw it on, whatever, made some food or something, came back. And I'm just looking at Jamar Chase, like having these amazing catches, Joe Burrow throwing him the football. I look at the stats. I'm like, dude, why are these guys even out there? They're freaking dominating. Get these guys out. Get them out. But yeah, it's been a little, I would say, more exciting preseason so far in 2025.
Well, teams want to be prepared, man. That it's like if you don't have the joint practice, get these guys ready to play week 1 and don't mail in the first part of the season and just look so sloppy. So I love it. I think it's great for everybody, especially the fans, dude, because so many fans pay good money to go see these preseason games, especially season ticket holders. Like you don't get a discounted rate. You at least get to see some like legit football for a quarter or two. So it helps them too.
Yeah, I agree.
So anything else, dude? We wrapped this up in an hour. That was pretty good.
Yeah, I think we're good, man. Pumped next week. What's cool too about us finally being in the regular season, every single show we're gonna have new news and then also previewing the next game. Whether it be, I guess maybe not that 4th preseason game, but you guys know what I mean.
Yeah. So thank you guys for joining us. Next week will be at his channel, and then 7:00 we'll keep cranking out just recaps of games, previewing games, and everything else. So we appreciate all the support, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
J-E